The journey ahead was daunting for any young black man, but for someone like Russell Jr., eager to prove himself, yet acutely aware of the hurdles that came with his race, it was especially formidable. In the mid-1950s, many medical and dental schools were only just beginning to desegregate, and the transition was far from seamless. Russell Jr. applied to several prestigious dental schools, but each rejection letter, though couched in professional language, carried an unspoken message. His race was a determining factor. Schools in the North were somewhat more open to integrating black students, but even in those institutions, black students faced open hostility, subtle discrimination, and an isolating sense of exclusion that could be crushing. After months of waiting, Russell Jr. was finally accepted to the newly integrated University of Kansas City Medical College. It wasn't an Ivy League school, but it held a strong reputation, and for Russell Jr., the acceptance felt like a victory. Russell Jr. and Donald sat on the worn leather couch in Donald's small apartment just off campus. A stack of rejection letters spread across the coffee table like discarded playing cards. The air smelled of old books and the faint trace of Donald's last cup of coffee, long gone cold. Man, Donald sighed, rubbing his temples. Kansas was my last hope. I thought for sure I had a shot there. Russell Jr. leaned forward, flipping through the letters. Howard, Morehouse, Kansas, all no. He shook his head. They don't know what they're passing up. Donald exhaled sharply, leaning back against the couch. I was ready to follow your lead, you know? Dental school. At least we'd be in it together. But now, he gestured toward the letters. Feels like I'm out of moves. A knock at the door interrupted them. Donald stood, stretching before swinging it open to reveal an unexpected guest, Mr. Thurgood Marshall. Donald, Marshall greeted, stepping inside with his usual commanding presence. Russell. He nodded in acknowledgement. Russell Jr. stood, shaking his hand. He had met Mr. Marshall several times with his father, Russell Sr. Thurgood Marshall, the civil rights attorney making waves across the country, was a longtime friend of Donald's family. Mr. Marshall didn't waste time. I hear you're thinking about giving up, Donald sighed. Not much of a choice, Mr. Marshall. Every school I applied to turned me down. Marshall smirked, shaking his head. That's because you were looking in the wrong places. He pulled out an envelope and handed it to Donald. You're going to apply here. Donald read the letterhead aloud. University of Maryland School of Medicine? He frowned. They've never accepted us. Mr. Marshall crossed his arms. That's why you're going to be the first. His tone was firm, unwavering. You have the grades, the qualifications, everything they claim they look for. And if they try to deny you because of the color of your skin, well, his smirk returned. They'll have to answer to me. Russell and Donald exchanged glances. Donald exhaled, shaking his head. You really think they'll take me? I know they will, Mr. Marshall said. And if they don't, I'll make sure they explain why, in front of a judge. A slow smile spread across Donald's face. For the first time in weeks, something that had felt impossible now seemed within reach. Russell Jr. patted his friend on the back. Looks like you won't be pulling teeth with me after all. Donald chuckled. Nah, man. But you'll still be my first call when I need a good dentist. They laughed, the weight of rejection lifting just a little. With Mr. Marshall in his corner, Donald wasn't just applying to medical school. He was making history. The moment Russell Jr. arrived at the University of Kansas, the challenges became immediately apparent. While the administration was technically welcoming, many faculty members and students were less than pleased to have a black student among them. Russell Jr. had heard the stories of black students being subjected to higher scrutiny, assigned to less desirable clinical shifts, and given disproportionate workloads to prove themselves. What he hadn't anticipated was the emotional toll these challenges would take on him. In the early days, he faced ridicule from classmates who whispered behind his back, refused to work with him on group projects, or outright excluded him from conversations. In lecture halls, he was often the only black face in the room, and the unspoken tension was palpable. Faculty members, while professional on the surface, would frequently avoid eye contact, rarely acknowledging his potential. One professor in particular seemed determined to make Russell Jr.'s life more difficult. He regularly assigned him the most complex cases in the clinic, forcing him to work longer hours while other students breezed through. Despite the isolation, Russell Jr.'s resolve remained unshaken. He threw himself into his studies, often staying late into the night in the school's library, determined to prove that he belonged. The discrimination only fueled his drive to excel. He refused to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing him fail. And as his knowledge grew, so did his confidence. During his first year, he earned a reputation as a diligent student and a skilled practitioner. The work was grueling, but he had the discipline to persevere. Slowly, his classmates began to see him in a different light. They came to realize that Russell Jr. wasn't there because of a token acceptance. He was there because he was as capable and as committed as any other student. But just as Russell Jr. began to gain some respect, the real challenge emerged: navigating the institutionalized racism that still permeated the medical and dental fields. He was often denied internships or placements at high-profile clinics, as many practitioners in the field were hesitant to work with a black student, even one who had proven his competence. This was a reality he hadn't anticipated. He had assumed that earning a degree and excelling in his studies would open doors for him. But in a world where black professionals were still rare and often regarded with suspicion, even the most well-earned credentials didn't guarantee acceptance. With renewed determination, Russell Jr. completed medical school and went on to earn both a master's degree and a PhD from the University of Kansas. He later received his Doctor of Dental Surgery (DDS) degree from Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio, becoming one of the few black men to earn a dental degree at a time when many white professionals still resisted the inclusion of black colleagues in their ranks. His breakthrough came when he secured an internship in the Department of Oral Surgery at Provident Hospital in his hometown of Baltimore. Provident Hospital in Baltimore holds a significant place in history as one of the first medical facilities founded by and for African Americans. Established in 1894 by a group of black physicians, including Dr. Nathan Francis Mossell, its mission was to provide quality medical care to black patients at a time when segregation barred them from treatment in most hospitals. It also served as a critical training ground for black nurses and doctors, offering opportunities otherwise denied in predominantly white institutions. The hospital's legacy loomed large in his community, standing defiantly in the face of systemic exclusion. As a young boy, Russell Jr., later known as Dr. Carrington, marveled at the tales of pioneering physicians who had built Provident from the ground up, daring to create a space where others refused. By the time Russell Jr. was accepted into medical school, Provident Hospital had become more than a beacon. It was a symbol of possibility. His internship there introduced him to a world of black excellence in medicine, where doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, not only to save lives, but also to prove their worth in a society that continually underestimated them. For Dr. Carrington, Provident wasn't just a hospital, it was a proving ground, a place where he honed his skills and cultivated his vision of what the future of oral dentistry could hold. Dr. Carrington was acutely aware of the limitations imposed by the broader medical community. He dreamed of a career that transcended Provident Hospital, one that would position him not just as a black doctor, but also as a leader in cutting-edge dental practices. This dream became a driving force in his career. As his ambition propelled him into the upper echelons of medicine, the lessons of Provident never left him. Its halls reminded him of his roots and the sacrifices made by those who came before him. It was there that he first donned his signature white coat, his perfect smile masking the insecurities and internal conflicts that would later haunt him. When Dr. Carrington left Provident Hospital, stepping into a world where the stakes were higher and the scrutiny harsher, the lessons he learned stayed with him, but so did the burden of representation. Every success he achieved was seen as a victory, not just for himself, but for the entire black community. By the mid-1960s, Dr. Russell Carrington Jr.'s career had skyrocketed. Invitations to conferences, guest lectures, and panels poured in, giving him countless opportunities to showcase his brilliance on a national stage.